talking about SNL, the history, the mysteries, and all the hot impressions in between, breaking down all the numbers as well. In your favorite sketches with special guests, it's on the Saturday Night Network.
Yes, that is right. Welcome on in, everybody, to the Saturday Night Network for another edition of our Hot Take Show, coming to you live after the Martin Short and Hozier Christmas episode of Saturday Night Live. My name is Jon from the Saturday Night Network, and has there ever been a better night to be an SNL fan than tonight to celebrate the show and everything we got here during this holiday episode? We are, of course, here as a presentation of LateNighter.com with some amazing guests and some people in the chat who I'm so excited to get their opinions from, as well as they're staying up late with us as we enter this holiday season. So first up, let's bring in our first guest, the one, the only, Sammy Kay is here. Sammy, how are you?
Jon, I'm doing great. This is like you said, what a amazing night to be an SNL fan. What a amazing show to like be at, you know, like just to be in the presence of so many greats. Just a lot to digest. So I'm excited to dive into this tonight.
I cannot wait to get into it. Feels like one of those nights we're going to come back to and talk about for a very long time. Joining us as well is the incredible Amanda Mitchell. Amanda, how are you?
I'm buzzing. I'm vibrating. I have never, not honestly, 2 years ago, I came on this podcast and I cried during the SNL Christmas episode when Cecily Strong and Austin Butler, that episode, in this exact chair in front of that exact same Christmas tree. So I'm thrilled to be back doing this again. I am so excited to talk about this with you two. Like, I can't believe it. Like, I'm actually kind of in shock that I get to do this. Wow. A gift. Christmas came early.
Yeah. This is so exciting. I mean, look, premieres are fun. Finales certainly have a lot of buzz, but to me, there's nothing better than a Christmas episode Saturday Night Live. I feel like it is just the time where literally anything can happen, and obviously a lot did tonight. So I can't wait to dive into it. Sammy Kay, I'm going to head over to you first. You get the first word on this one. What is your overall takeaway, headline, or any hot takes from season 50, episode 10?
Yeah, this will be an interesting episode to talk about. There's just so many faces and people were at Studio 8H tonight. But for me, this was SNL at its most SNL. This is like a maximalist version of SNL. You got recurring sketches, you got five timers sprinkled throughout the show. Just a lot of SNL, and then you have someone like Martin Short in the building to celebrate such a big moment for him. Obviously, a former cast member. Just a whole lot of SNL in this Christmas episode tonight.
Amanda, how did you feel about tonight? Any hot takes or headlines from the night?
There were times where I was like, I can't believe they're doing so many recurring sketches, but the recurring sketches choice, I think, worked in this case because they were ones where I was like, great. And it just felt like almost like all of your friends come back to their hometown for the holidays.
Yes.
They all hung out and they were all like really happy to see each other. Like there's no like interpersonal drama that like you have to deal with. Like this was just like when we talked in the preseason before SNL 50 really came, like we talked about what we wanted to see. And I had said, like, I really wanted just a straightforward, like regular season of Saturday Night Live. Like, and that's, in my opinion, what we've gotten thus far. But this felt like the encapsulation of, they were like, it's our 50th season and it's our Christmas episode. Like, this is the time when you go balls to the wall, like with everything you have, because it's festive. Like I felt no Christmas festivities until 11:45 this evening, and now I am fully going to go listen to all of the songs and listen to Mariah Carey all day long. I loved it, honestly. I'm thrilled. I'm in the best mood I've been on this podcast in a really long time.
I'm so glad to hear it. I mean, if anybody's been listening to me for 4.5 years, you know very much how much I love this show. And to me, like this was all the reasons why I think that Saturday Night Live is the greatest show on television. There's no more fulfilling show to watch everything from the beginning and see the lore of the show develop and then get it to culminate in what we saw here on the show tonight. And it felt like coming into the season, all the hype with season 50, what it was going to look like. Was it going to look like, as Amanda said, a very regular season with some, really cool moments in between? And we have had some great moments on the show this season. Kamala Harris appearing on the show right before the election. I mean, that was a big moment for the show. Dana Carvey being such a big part of the season. Andy Samberg returning with The Lonely Island. There's been some really fun stuff this season. Throw it all away for this. I mean, this to me was everything I could have asked for. And I'll say, for all the cockroaches that have came out of the woodwork over the last few weeks saying, oh, the show sucks right now, we're in a horrible era, this show isn't like, I mean, you guys, this to me was absolutely epic. And it was so much fun for fans of the show to get to see everybody come on tonight and celebrate somebody who is absolutely beloved in Martin Short. So to me, this was a win for the show. This was a win for the fans of the show. And I cannot wait to dive into an absolutely epic episode of Saturday Night Live with both of you. So let's kick things off with our cold open tonight. Something that we all questioned, what was the monologue going to be? But no way, it is the cold open. And we're going to open up on the Five Timers Club. And I'll just say up front, I won't do it justice with the explanation. Very often I try and be cool and concise with how I explain these sketches. This is one of those things you got to watch to really get the full grasp of what was going on here. But we'll do our best by explaining that we open up on America's dad, Tom Hanks, one of the greatest hosts in SNL history, is there in his Five Timers robe, talking about the original Five Timers Club sketch and the creation of it all the way back in 1990. Paul Rudd comes in with a welcome Martin Short into the club. We get to see a really cool set design. The first time we're ever going to see the Five Timers Club at Christmas, and a very cool stockings hung all in the back with the initials of every single Five Timer in existence. A really nice nod to everyone who could and could not be there tonight. In comes Tina Fey. We have some fun jokes with Tina. There's always going to be a waiter there, so Bowen Yang gets the honor of that role tonight. There's some jokes about the drinks. That is a running gag that we get from Five Timers Club to Five Timers Club sketch. Of course, in comes Alec Baldwin, the record holder for hosting, with his 17 on his jacket. Scarlett Johansson makes an entrance as well. Will not let Colin Jost into the club. In comes Kristen Wiig, who, we do get a Five Timers Club moment for her after all the fun we had in her monologue last season. And then on come Melissa McCarthy and Emma Stone for some cheap cameos for ratings boosting. Melissa McCarthy eventually does her thing. So happy to see her back at the show. She breaks through the wall. In comes John Mulaney, comes in as well. And eventually Jimmy Fallon, who comes on, not a five-timer, but you can't say SNL Christmas without thinking of Jimmy Fallon a little bit in some of the episodes he produced. So he comes, he tries to put that jacket on Marty Short. It doesn't fully work in the live show, but that's the fun of live television. And there were just so many really great moments here to talk about. So Sammy, I will head over to you. What did you think about this cold open?
Wow. I mean, overstimulated would be the word I would use to describe this cold open. Just getting it out of the way. Just, there's been so many five timers in recent years, and they kind of all tackle this topic in different ways. Sometimes it's in the monologue, sometimes you get a full-blown sketch like the Mulaney episode. This was, I think, when we did our SNL 50 draft, somebody, I don't know if it was me, somebody said we want a five timers like Avengers Endgame type of moment where you see them all come out of the portals, and we almost got that. I mean, I gotta say up top, not seeing Steve Martin in this one was definitely a disappointment. I'm curious what the choice, or if he was unavailable for it, but disregarding that, this was amazing. A lot of great moments in here. The 17 on Alec Baldwin's jacket is such a nice nod. Would have loved to see a Platinum Lounge reference in there, as the only one eligible of this group. I mean, seeing Melissa McCarthy go through the wall and Mulaney coming out, like that is just like that's why I love these five timer sketches, and just the concept of SNL in general. Like, you never know who's going to show up through that door. to me, my like favorite, like just pure comedy thing from this sketch was the sort of runner between Martin Short and Kristen Wiig on like, them maybe hooking up at last year's show, and then, bringing it back with Emma Stone as well, and her sipping out of her drink. I mean, a lot of great moments here. This is one that on a rewatch, I'm so excited. Like you said, the stockings with the initials, like I'm sure there's a ton of Easter eggs here for diehard fans like us to really dive into. We can probably do a full 20-minute breakdown of everything that was in this sketch. But yeah, this is for the fans. And yeah, this was really fun to see.
Yeah, there's always going to be talk in these sketches about like who couldn't be there, and I'm sure that if Steve could be there, he would have been there. But we still got amazing cameos in this cold open. Amanda, how did you feel about the epic Five Timers Club sketch we got tonight?
I could watch Melissa McCarthy do physical comedy every single day for the rest of my life. Like, I think what her best asset is, like, I think everyone in general's best assets were used in this Five Timer sketch. And that's just like John Mulaney just showing up. It's like, yeah, that's what he does. He just shows up. Like Emma Stone and Kristen Wiig's, like that interaction. I was like, I would watch that. I want to see more of, like, I know you want it to be a 1-bit line, but I'm like, I could watch a Five Timers-esque mini web series that comes out for like a 5-minute web series every few episodes, like, it's just like, yay, what are they up to up in that, like, because they're all clearly locked in that lounge, right? They don't go out elsewhere. Like, Lauren keeps them captive, like, has to be. But
well, I think the lore of the sketch, Amanda, is that there are other areas of the Five Timers Club, including like the sauna and the steam room, where
in the room. Yeah.
Yes, and that's where perhaps Elliot Gould was chilling with Danny DeVito and so on.
Exactly. Like, and also Danny DeVito, you live in Brooklyn, so where were you? I know everyone's asking where Steve Martin is. I'm just saying, like, what
we need to know where everybody was who wasn't in the sketch. Like, we need an alibi. You need to
Kenny, where were you tonight?
That should have been, that should have been like the cut to at the end, is like where all the other first timers, like, instead of the Fox News thing, just a list of where everyone else is and their alibis for why they couldn't be there. They're mostly not even reasons, just the alibis. But yes, I thought it was just perfect. And sometimes, like, the Five Timers motif can get a little like, yeah, we get it. Like, yes, they all go to this club, but like, when it works so well. Like, and this was perfect. And I think every single bit, just like you didn't no one got overused and no one got underutilized, especially when you look at the rest of the episode too. I think I love it. Thrilled.
Yeah, there were so many things to love here. We're obviously going to do a full breakdown of every beat of this sketch on the roundtable on Monday. But, for me, I had on my bucket list coming into this season that there has to be some sort of epic Five Timers moment. If it's not going to be, during an episode, I hope that we get it in SNL 50. And I'm actually happy that we got to cross that off here. Now I think that there's other things that we could look forward to, other combinations of people together that we may see in the special in February. But to me, this was, sort of the kickoff to that special, was, seeing this happen with all the promos that are going on for that special, all the documentaries that have been announced. Like, this to me was like, yeah, I know I was hyped for season 50, but like, now I'm hyped for SNL 50. Now I'm hyped for this special that's going to be maybe the biggest night on television. And I feel like this is the start of what we got here. Was it, to be fair to the sketch itself, was it as, clear and concise and as well rehearsed as some of the previous Five Timers Club sketches? Definitely not. But this is one of those things that, like, the substance, it doesn't matter. It's the packaging of what we got here that was so beautiful and so well done. And to me, I'm so happy with the decision that they made to make this the cold open tonight and not the monologue. So to me, 10 out of 10, no notes. Congratulations, Marty Short. Hope you can finally get that sleeve in and get the robe going, because you deserve it. So this was absolutely awesome. Let's talk about Marty's monologue, because, after that, it's like, what's he going to do? he has to go backstage, right? It's the Christmas monologue. So he's going to get on stage and talk about, he can't be there too long because he has 10 sketches where he has to play an elf and he has so much fun. I mean, Marty and Meta, they go really well together. So he's very thankful to Lorne. He says him and Lorne are like Trump and Elon. He mentions, why Steve isn't there. Steve would have been here, but of course there's a conflict, and the conflict is that Marty didn't want him to be there. He's also rehearsing for The Masked Singer. And we get some appearances from Sarah Sherman, and then Bowen, Ego, Keenan, and Heidi, who, are there to, cheer us up and have some fun and gather around Youngins and Keenan, and they do a little song and dance. Of course, Marty's going to sing, and he's going to go and walk around backstage, where we get to see James Austin Johnson as a psychiatrist, Emma Stone and Kristen Wiig make an appearance in this. Mikey plays Santa, and he's basically singing a version of Need a Little Christmas with You, Need a New Prescription. We had an appearance from Lorne, of course. We can't have, Christmas monologue with Marty Short and without an appearance from Lorne, who's standing there drinking some wine with Jimmy Fallon, and they have some fun together. So Amanda, how did you feel about our monologue we got here from Marty?
Okay. There were times where I was just so enthralled by Martin Short, I stopped listening to the words coming out of his mouth. Like, I could not tell you what I knew he was singing about something about Christmas and depression, which I understand. But I was just so enthralled by the way that man was timing that walk. He knew that man is a star, he's a professional. He knows what he's doing. And I loved it. And also, how tall is Heidi Gardner? Because she's towering. She's like she has to be like 5'9", right? Like, she's tall. Like,
I'm 5'10", and I think she's like easily my height.
Yeah, because Ego is like me. She has tall girl energy. But I think she's like 5'6". So I was like on that screen. I was very distracted by that. But I would like to rewatch this monologue tomorrow, or when my mom watches it tomorrow. Let's be real. And I just love a walkthrough and like a vibe and a backstage monologue. And have we had one all season? We haven't. No.
I don't think
we haven't had one since Maya Rudolph, right? Since the Mother's Day show.
Chat, let me know. But this was a really, like, this is one I've been waiting for. And you also, I mean, Amanda, we got the llamas, we got the showgirls. I think
showgirls.
Was there a Lincoln back there? I don't know. I have to rewatch
yes.
it, but yeah,
I did love
all
that.
the stuff was there.
And I really loved the show, like the fact that you could tell that they just said, get on that stage and do like a kickstand, just like pretend like you know what you're doing, because there was not a rhythm in those dancers behind them. But at a certain point, they got there. And I really appreciate that, because it's SNL. Well, you don't need you to be perfectly choreographed.
There was definitely a llama, because I got a picture. I saw a picture was sent to me that there was one.
I love it. Yes. It's fabulous. Yes.
Yeah, they have to have one. Sammy, were you excited? Did the momentum keep going from the cold open to the monologue for you?
Oh yeah, at this moment in the night, for sure, momentum's still going. I mean, I was fortunate enough to see Steve and Marty like 2 months ago here in Detroit, and that was like the energy he had on stage tonight was just like when I saw him in person. He is such, like, he brings that old school comedy sense of like putting on a show, like almost like when the Muppets are putting on a show. Like, that's what I get from this like Martin Short monologue. Especially with him going backstage and everything like that. I feel like sometimes a complaint with the singing monologues is like, they're not super funny. And I think, he is able to weave the comedy and the timing into the song and dance of it all. Lots of great little one-liners here, talking about having a recurring dream of Army Hammer eating him, or him eating Army Hammer, something like that. I thought, that was a great bit. Something I also want to point out in this is just Sarah Sherman being up there with like the Heidis and the Egos and the Bowens. Like, she's had such a strong season so far, and I feel like she's really just putting her in the monologue there next to Martin Short, and really just introducing that moment of bringing in the other cast members. Like, really is just becoming a bigger and bigger star in this cast, which I really like to see. But yeah, I mean, again, like going backstage, like I love those bits. Him making out with Jimmy Fallon in front of Lorne. Like, anytime you can get Lorne to like crack a smile a little bit, in moments like this, is great. It's very similar to the cold open, to where those Easter eggs, those things that diehard SNL fans love to see. So really enjoyed seeing this from Marty in the monologue here.
So I did coverage of the 2012 Marty Short episode on That Week in SNL a couple years back. So getting to rewatch that episode for the first time since I watched that one live, something I noticed and I loved from that episode was the idea that we're going to introduce all of these additional people into the show, and then they're going to appear in other sketches throughout the night. And that is what we ended up having here. And we'll talk about some of those moments as we go through segment by segment. But I love that we opened up the show basically by saying, like, all of these people are in the building tonight and we don't know when else they're going to show up, and it's going to be very exciting. And I think that, you know, the idea that we're going to walk by and you get to see, okay, Emma Stone and Kristen Wiig, they're still here, they're just chatting backstage, and it's all like a part of this normal process, that with Marty episodes that I just think really, really works for me. There is something so special about him being there. And I just think, like, you know, him toying with the audience, his relationship with Lorne Michaels, the fact that, you know, they're such good friends, and like that part of it too. I'm so happy that we got to see that on camera. So there was just so many good things that I liked here, and everything felt like really holly and jolly coming out of these two segments and into the show itself. So, you know, after this, you know, from what I was seeing, one of the best starts to an SNL episode ever, in my opinion. I was curious, okay, can they keep this up? So we do get a recurring sketch, our first sketch out of the monologue. And this was a sketch that was, you know, so well regarded a couple years back from the Quinta Brunson episode of SNL, where we actually interviewed Mikey Day to talk to him about it. So if you want to go back and check out my interview with Mikey, this was like a beloved sketch where we get a traffic altercation. This time, though, it's going to be Marty in one car, and it's going to be Chloe, Mikey's daughter, with him in the other car. And it's going to be, of course, you know, a lot of miming to each other as if they can't hear each other. And, you know, last time this took place in a gridlocked highway, but now it is two people trying to get into a spot that can't get in. And there are so many great moments in this one, including all of the things that they are miming to each other. Again, another one that's hard to do justice on a podcast. But Sammy, were you happy to see this brought back for the second time?
Yes, this was a sketch that it was really like lightning in a bottle to me. Like, this is one in the Quinta Brunson episode, to where that was one of my highlights of that whole season personally. Like, I thought that was such a great sketch. Just the way they blocked it, and just it's a very different way that they kind of presented it on screen. So, you know, there were a lot of recurring sketches in this episode. Some, you know, didn't necessarily need to see brought back. This is one that was going to be a challenge for them to sort of live up to that first one. And I think they did a good enough job. For me, the highlight was definitely Melissa McCarthy appearing there towards the end. I think she totally stole this sketch entirely. Just the physical comedy when she spits the coffee and, you know, is all up in the car window was incredible. Like, that is Melissa McCarthy and what she is able to do. That was just really great work from her. And, you know, if you're gonna bring the sketch back, bring it back for a Martin Short episode. Like, he is the type of host that could bring that sort of animated actions, you know, and really live up to that original sketch. So I definitely think there are some beats here with the Chloe character that, you know, I didn't necessarily love that it was sort of one-to-one some of the things that they did from last time, but I think overall, you know, I think this was a solid follow-up to that original sketch.
Oh, this was such a good sequel for me. And just getting Melissa McCarthy in there, who, you know, this summer we ranked the greatest host of all time. I put her at 8 on my list, and I have no regrets about that whatsoever. To me, she's absolutely a top 10 host, and she shows you why here with the crazy moment of her sticking out her entire chest on the window and with the American flag going and having some fun there. And of course, you know, shout out to producer Matt, who sent me an anecdote, of course, that Melissa McCarthy and Mikey Day were castmates at the Groundlings, and actually perhaps worked on this sketch together in this vehicle sketch when it was taken from the Groundlings. So to have her in this one was so great. And Amanda, you know, for me, hot take show, I think that Chloe's character in these sketches is my favorite thing that Chloe has done on the show. I think that she is so hilarious in these moments. She is the perfect person for that part. And sometimes there are moments when I'm watching the show and I'm like, oh, I could see another cast member from the history of the show fitting into that role. This is like Chloe's thing, and she does it really well. How do you feel about this one tonight?
Yeah, like Chloe really plays just like a hormonal teenager, like very like
So
it's
good.
like and it's not a bad thing. It's like when the over dramatic, like I'm gonna like we know that teenage girl who's like, oh, I practiced this, like I'm gonna eat you up with this, and then it's like, babes, that flopped because you over rehearsed. Like we know this archetype of character that she's playing. I think that's the point that like I don't want to put words in your mouth, but like this is such a good specific character archetype that Chloe has refinement her way into, and that was a really a really good wordplay joke.
Love it.
Like, but I first of all, agreeing with Sammy, this was one of my favorite sketches of that season when it came out 2 years ago. Yes, like I really loved it, and seeing it recur, I had stepped away from the television for a second, and I heard it. I knew it was going to be like, I ran. I was like, road rage is happening. I have to be back. And I think the way, the show gets criticism for bringing back sketches too early. I think it's not bringing back sketches too early. It's bringing back a sketch and not having a suitable candidate to take on that. And Martin Short is the perfect candidate to take on a sketch like this because he's always going to triple down, like the quadruple down. He is in the trenches with them. Like you could bring Quinta back and do this sketch again with all four of them, and I would be like, yes, absolutely, please. Actually, SNL people, free idea. But like, I think, and also again, going back to my main point, I would watch Melissa McCarthy do physical comedy every single day of the week, and this I loved. Did I think it was a little bit too long? Yes. Did I think a lot of sketches tonight had one? That's my only criticism. Is like, I could tell where they were trying to like adjust for time things. And it's like, yeah, like just things could have been brought back just a little bit more, but it could have been tightened up, but tightened by like 30 seconds. That's not significant enough to really make or break the quality of the sketch. But I think in general, this is how you bring back a sketch. This is how you would deliver a sequel and make it feel reminiscent of the original, but also different enough via sight gags, guest stars, to make it you remember what it is, what you loved about it the most, and then do it again. And again, this is a visual comedy medium, this sketches, and that's where SNL sometimes really, really does its best. It's really hard to describe the sketch.
Yeah, and it's so funny because I if you go back to between season 48 and season 49, there was a writer's strike, but I did do some coverage of Just for Laughs, and I got to interview Quinta Brunson for a minute, and I really wasn't supposed to ask any questions about anything to do with SNL because of what was going on, but I do remember a quick take that she had on the sketch and just said that it was like the biggest roar in the studio when they were doing this at the table. And like, for me, I'm surprised it took them this long to do it again. But the fact that they did it in this moment with Marty, with Melissa McCarthy, it all came together for me. So just again, such an unbelievable start to the show. Let's head over to a filmed piece we're going to get here called An Act of Kindness, where Heidi is walking down the street, drops one of her Christmas gifts. Kenan Thompson's character picks it up and then gives it back to her. And Heidi, realizing the act of kindness that Kenan's character giving her back the gift, she decides that she's going to take care of him. So she takes Kenan for a haircut. We get to see Michael Longfellow as a tailor. Seeing her dress him up and take him out for dinner, and then her husband calls and Mikey says, "Where the fuck are you?" And Kenan says, "Let me talk to her for a second," and turn on the sketch. "Your girl is with me now, you heard. I steal your bitch o'clock. I'm Ricardo, the D-trained deviant demont." And Kenan ends up stealing her car at the end. So, a sort of a sentimental Christmas pre-tape that has a wild turn at the end. Love to know, Amanda, how you felt about it.
This was this is just Kenan. Like this should be at the very top of Kenan's any reel that Kenan has. This should be at the very top. Like, this was every single thing that I want out of a Keenan and a Heidi, a well-intentioned white woman, and Keenan, a different intentioned black man. This is the dynamic I love to see. This was so wonderful. I didn't know where it was going. I didn't know what to expect. I just, Mikey Day, like, just coming in, just giving the one line to really twist the entire conversation. Fabulous time. I did hate the Fox News button. I hated that. That was unnecessary. But in general, I think that I've seen this Christmas movie. Let's be real. I've seen this Christmas movie, and this is how we all expect it to go down. Like, this is how Hallmark movies should happen. That's my narrative. I loved it. Christmas.
Okay, just bear with me, guys, for 1 second. Let me just say something to all of our friends over at Saturday Night Live. Happy holidays. we love you. We love the show. Please never give us a button on the sketch like this again. That is my New Year's wish for 2025, is just listen to your friend, Jon Schneider, is that you ruined a perfectly good sketch. So thank you. Thank you in advance. Never again. Sammy?
Ooh, I've never, John.
I love the, just John straight to camera, straight down the barrel, talking to the SNL writers and everybody over there who we love. But
maybe they'll listen.
I mean, I think you jinxed this a couple weeks ago, right? Didn't you say, like, they didn't throw a button on the sketch, and then
it was last week, Sammy, with the grandpa's car.
Well, no, but the week before, I remember there's a week before, I think maybe you and Bill were whatever. You were acknowledging that there wasn't a button, and then they brought it back. So the buttons are back. Yeah. I mean, let me go back to the start here. I really enjoyed this pre-tape. Really nice to see Keenan and Heidi, sort of like a two-hander for them. Obviously, Mikey plays a great role in this sketch about halfway through, but I guess two cast members who I'm sure we've seen in sketch. Obviously, we've seen sketches before, but I can't really remember just, a Keenan Heidi piece. I think they're both such pros. Obviously, Keenan's a pro, and Heidi too at this point. Great seeing them work off each other. Yeah, just the sort of twist with Mikey, or just the reveal with Mikey played so well for me. Then sort of the double back reveal with Keenan, sort of revealing himself and his character, and how he's sort of taking advantage of the situation. I thought all of that was so great. And then just great performances. And then the button, I think I groaned. I think I audibly groaned. And I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I'm not a writer, so I'm sure it is hard to find a way to bring these sketches home. But that wasn't necessarily the way to do it. Another thing,
Hallmark Network was right there. Just something like that kind of.
I mean, even that would have been more.
No. Sorry, he could have just stolen the car, and the sketch could have ended, and we could have just solo on Heidi's face as she realizes that her Christmas is ruined. That's it. That's all it is.
Or it ends up being a commercial for Lyft because her car's gone, and so she needs a car. So then
Samuel
back.
You should be
honestly,
for this
no. When this shit happens, again, we don't have to get into this all night, but when this shit happens, it's like you go out for dinner and you have a really good meal and you're completely stuffed, and then they're like free dessert and the dessert sucks. You're like, oh, come on. Like, I was having a very good meal and no need for this at the end. But everything else was perfectly fine. I really like this. And I do like, we had a run back in the early 40s with a little bit of a different era of some really sentimental pre-tapes and moments that we had where we would like go through like what it is actually like to do something nice for somebody or to have these nice moments with your family. And I always think it's like really great to get a little bit of schmaltziness on the holidays and do something warm and fuzzy. So I thought that this was great. The turn, they waited long enough for it. This was a very solid pre-tape for me.
John, yes. one more note on this. Something that is a critique of this episode for me, and was almost going to be my hot take, was not having Martin Short in this and another sketch later on. Very surprising. a little underutilized overall in this episode for me personally, but yeah, would have liked to see him somewhere in this sketch.
Yeah, I have I wonder, and again, I would, just speculation. I obviously would love to hear this, from someone at the show or from Marty or those type of things. But I do wonder if like part of the agreement to come and host is that he doesn't have to have a full workload at this point. At 74 years old. For him, he's like, okay, I'm going to do it with Steve last time in 2022. He's like, hey, Lauren, would love to do this. Would love to come host. Definitely would, love some people to come be there and take the load off a little bit.
Sure.
And again, that's, this is a guy who's been in the business for half a century. And, I think he deserves it a little bit, but of course, the more Marty, the better. And we'll talk about some of the stuff we didn't get to see when we head towards the end of this hot take show. So let's talk about another sketch that we have seen before, going back to the Jason Momoa episode in season 49, where it was a Thanksgiving sketch. And this time it is a Christmas week airport parade where Bowen and Ego are going to MC, playing Umberto and Chartreuse. And they're going to bring on many people to roll through the sketch, including Andrew, who is a nervous flyer whose edible kicked in too early. Sarah is a woman who's saving her stinky meal for the flight. Marty's going to play Kenton Bean, who's going to be the overly aggressive Delta Lounge employee that they're going to cut to a few times. Jane will work off of Marty, thought she had access to the lounge. Keenan is a TSA employee who says the same thing in 12 different ways. Kristen Wiig comes in, classic Kristen character, a woman who accidentally sat down on a motorized suitcase. Paul Rudd, again, trying to get into the lounge. We have some fun with him and Marty. Chloe plays a white woman who somehow going to make the flight about her. Michael Longfellow, Ashley, and Devin play Express Spa masseurs. We have Emil and Heidi as people who are Heidi wants to get in the Mile High Club. Emil does not. Melissa McCarthy plays a gate agent who's having trouble with the names. Tom Hanks, of course, is going to play Captain Sully Sullinger, and Marcelo is a passenger who just arrived from Turkey. Sammy, what do you think about the Christmas week airport parade?
Yeah, I remember liking this in the Momoa episode. I think, this one was okay for me. I think like with any parade sketch, you're gonna, gravitate to certain characters and moments, and the pace is so fast that, that they got sort of one bit going and then they're in and they're out. So your mileage will sort of vary on which ones work for you. Some of the highlights for this one for me, I really like the Heidi and Emil characters. The wife who wants to join the Mile High Club and Emil not wanting to do that. I thought that was a funny bit. Just getting Kristen Wiig on screen for 5 seconds riding the suitcase just shows how amazing of a talent she is. Like that, just visual. That is classic Kristen Wiig for me in that moment. And then also Melissa McCarthy. Given a little celebrity Jeopardy with those names, to me, that's like immediately with like the way, she was reading those names off, reminded me of that classic sketch. But yeah, I mean, overall, some good stuff in here. But yeah, like any parade sketch, there's going to be some things that you like, some things that you don't. So overall, this was fine. Don't think I necessarily needed this one back, but it makes sense for the Christmas show.
Amanda, how do you feel about it?
Having just gone from LaGuardia to Atlanta and Atlanta to Detroit, this felt personal because I hate holiday travel and I hate airports in general, but I hate holiday travel in specific. But this was one where just hearing you list off everyone that was in this sketch, I felt the overwhelmingness that I felt watching it and being in the airport for the past week. It's great. I'm glad you have all these people and I'm glad that they were in the sketches and I'm glad you had the moments. But this was the only time where I was just like, okay. Like I get that it's a parade and parades are naturally overwhelming and they're going to be a lot. I think that this is one where it will hit better in the nuance of the jokes themselves, because I think there were so many like really great lines that were almost lost in the veil of everybody or who like wondering who was coming next, if that makes sense. And so like I like the line where Bowen asks Ego is like, did your parents name you Chartreuse because they like the color? And she goes, no, they trying to name me after charcuterie. They're just illiterate. That's a great incredible line. And it's yes. But like, and there is the one like Drake is in the Sky Miles Club. It's like I don't know which one, Drake or Josh.
That was great.
That was a great line. Those are the things where it's like, I think revisiting this later, it might feel differently. But I think watching it live now, I was a little just overwhelmed by everything that was happening. Yes, there were great moments of Kristen Wiig on that conveyor belt, like little different things. But there was just, I just needed. I just needed a second where I was like, I'm giddy, I'm excited, and everything's exciting, but I'm like, okay, guys, like let's also keep focus on the moment.
Yeah, I totally get that. I mean, these sketches wash over me and I can't control it. Like I really, really want to like these sketches. I've just never been like, my personal taste in the show has never been sketches that are so like bloated or parady. I think the best version of these sketches always for me are like the toast sketches going back to the 30s of the show, where, you know, you have somebody come up, steal the microphone for a minute, get to show off their character. I don't like these is for them, and the biggest reason why I don't care for them is because I don't like it when the format of I'm going to telestrate the joke and then show you the joke. So when you have, you know, Ego and Bowen and they're like, okay, and now here's person who's going to do this, and then we get to see it, we already like are laughing or got the expectations about what's going on here. So for me, like the best parts of these moments was when something unexpected happened. And even though it's like a really, you know, easy gag, like the whole thing with, you know, Marty spitting water at Paul Rudd, I mean, that's a joke that wasn't telestrated in the sketch. So I'm able to enjoy that. Whereas others, I'm sort of just like, I feel like I'm watching like monkeys dance, you know. It's just like, okay, well now it's gonna, you know what I'm saying, like it's like now it's gonna be like, okay, do perform for me, come out woman who's overly, you know, eager to make the flight about her, and now we're gonna watch it. Like that's not what I really love out of my SNL. So I have to say that like this unfortunately was a slowdown in the night for me. But from like a practical business decision, I do understand them wanting to get a lot of cast in the show, in a show that's very heavily cameoed. So ultimately, like I'm not going to completely say this bottomed out, but it's just not the type of sketch I enjoy in the show personally. Sammy, do you want to jump in on anything with the sketch before we move on?
No, I guess one quick note was like kind of like what you're saying, like, you know, sometimes when they bring a character on Update and they kind of just name the character, like what their whole bit is, kind of like showing their cards a little bit like that. There's a little bit of that issue in this type of sketch as well. So I don't know. I'm with you on those points about, you know, telestrating the joke.
Yeah, and you double down on it by putting it up on screen. And I get it. The reason that they are doing that, and if we were to talk to the writers of the sketch, is because they do feel like, okay, it's hard to completely grasp who this person is if you don't put the wording out there. But maybe that's the problem in the building of the sketch in the first place. So look, ultimately, again, not my favorite thing, but I get why they brought it back. All right, let's talk about Hozier, who comes in, who's musical guest for the second time, very famously performed Take Me to Church in 2014 on the show, performs his hit single from this year, Too Sweet, and then performs Happy Christmas. Really beautiful moment on the show here tonight as part of a celebration of the holiday. So, Sammy, what did you think of our musical guest tonight?
I thought he was great. You know, I like that he performed the Christmas song for a second performance. Just overall, just like great vibes. I'm you know, not a diehard fan or anything like that, but what, you know, it's something to where yeah, I just, you know, see the performance and I'm like, I'm liking this. We're keeping the show going for me. This was a solid performance from Hozier.
Oh yeah, thanks to the chat. Fairytale in New York, of course. Just want to make sure I got that right. But yes, beautiful stuff here. Amanda, how do you feel about it?
That man can ruin my life.
All right. Noted.
If the man asked me to step on his neck, I would say, take me to Saks. I will max out my credit card buying a pair of shoes that you pick out and they will not fit.
That's the real Fairytale in New York.
Yeah, he could take you to church.
Take me to church, babes. Very that. I would go to any church. I would follow him down. I would go to the Westboro Baptist Church for that man. Okay.
All right.
Wow.
Well, yeah.
I don't think I haven't thirsted on this podcast about a man in like a really long time. So I feel like that's the Christmas miracle. When was the last time?
Bobby Moynihan, James Austin Johnson.
Yes, I'm saying it's been a long time since I've openly thirsted over a man. Bobby Moynihan,
Yeah.
love you still, down bad.
We can cross that off our
Yeah.
bingo card for tonight's episode.
Congratulations, Amanda Mitchell thirsted on SNN podcast in 2024.
Yeah,
Yes, bear that.
yeah, I wouldn't describe myself as down bad for the musical guest here tonight,
He's
but
also
I
like
certainly
6'4". Huge dude.
then right, not my thing, but I do really appreciate his music and them getting him to perform a Christmas song on the show tonight. I thought it was honestly, it was perfect. It was everything you could ask for, and I'm sure everyone enjoyed the sounds of Hozier tonight. All right, let's talk about weekend updates. So we're gonna do this in stages. First, like let's separate our talk here first and get to so weekend update opens. Obviously, we're gonna get some recaps of 2024, some jokes about Diddy and Trump and Elon Musk at SNL's 50th anniversary, some Luigi jokes, a lot of wooing in the audience that Colin and Michael could have some fun with. We got a really fun, probably not planned bubble rape moment from Michael Che here, but then we're going to first bring on Bowen Yang as a drone. So obviously going back to some of the characters we've seen over the last few years, and obviously Bowen's highlight being the iceberg, but this time he's going to play a drone who is indoors, and it's different for the first time. So just talking about Bowen on Update tonight, Sammy, how do you feel about it?
Yeah, honestly, just with the way Update went, and obviously with how, joke swap went, I don't know if I necessarily needed this from Bowen. Obviously, we've seen this type of character from him a lot at this point. The iceberg was such a viral moment. Definitely some good jokes here. The one about, it's like you guys have never been in Afghanistan. That was great. And the rotor boat line was also good. Then quickly pivoting it to being like a whole Wicked defying gravity thing. I don't know. Felt like a bit of a, I don't know if cop out's the right word for me. I just think overall, it's like they already built the costume. I guess we might as well put this on type of thing I was getting from this piece from Bowen.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, for a night that was very heavy on cameos, Amanda, Bowen was the biggest star in the cast tonight, really all over the episode. And obviously is going to have this moment that's, pure for the Bowen fans who, just were really excited to get to see him in Wicked and all the promo and all the stuff being probably one of the biggest movies of 2024. So Amanda, what do you think of Bowen on Update tonight?
Okay. I understand people's irritation with Bowen Yang playing objects, because oftentimes it's very annoying and very kind of like, we get it, it's like super timely, and I just think in this case, like this was another case of like, trim it down. Like, I didn't need all of the Wicked motif, and I need everyone in this chat to understand we're not done with Bowen Yang Wicked motifs. We have a whole calendar year and Oscar run for a second time of Bowen Yang Wicked motif. So unless this man quits this show, it's not going to falter. And I say this as a person who's going to see Wicked for the third time on Wednesday with my mother. I love this musical. But I'm also I get it. Give Bowen more. And it makes me wonder what was cut for time in favor of this, because it's kind of like, I don't think that in an episode that was so recalling of past references and past times on this show, it's wild to have something that is so specifically New York City and New Jersey, December 2024 referencing. And I get it, it's Weekend Update, it's supposed to be like that, but this one felt like, I don't think this time next year I'm going to remember that there were drones in New York, and
Yeah.
So I think that it's just too long, and it didn't really it felt both shoehorned and trying to be relevant, which feels like this weird dichotomy. And in a Weekend Update, which again, I've criticized this Weekend Update on this podcast several times, a Weekend Update that I absolutely loved otherwise than this. I loved this weekend update.
Yeah, we're gonna get to it.
Yeah. So I just felt like this was just, I would, I could have just cut everyone and not have any, just let it be Colin and Michael for this weekend update, and I would have been happy. I think that's my only issue.
Yeah, so I disagree with respect. I do think that this was the moment to do this. I think for Bowen having such a big year and being sort of the face of the show. I mean, he's not, I wouldn't say he's as big as faces of other eras of the show, but certainly he's being pushed as the face of this era of the show, having his moment. I know that the drone thing, to your point, may not be relevant in the future, but I think that the show is always a time capsule. So for me, people will go back and be like, what was happening during this time? And this was a big deal. So I sort of feel like this was fine for me. And I definitely did have some skepticism when he came on, but he did actually win me over. I think the energy of this was fine. And I'm not a wicked person. So for me, I
will say the siren call with the drone sound, I'm sad that got cut off by the audience, because like the liftoff set, I really did love that little, because that was a cute little idea.
Yeah, and you did ask what was cut from Dress tonight. So a cut from Dress was the return of Marcelo Hernandez and Jane Wickline as the couple that you can't believe are dating. So that was the great.
Yeah, I would have.
No, at a Christmas party.
Yes,
just my brain just goes that could have been a Christmas.
Yes, but I think that's one of those things that they may put up from Dress. So that's the one that we didn't get on the show tonight. But of course, we do get this joke swap returning. So last year we had these really fun moments. Obviously, joke swap was away for a while. It came back. You know, we had the rabbi there, the finale. We had the activist there at the Christmas show last year. So what are they going to do to top it this year? So Michael Che asks Colin Jost to read the jokes in a black voice, please, so he doesn't get in trouble. So Colin does a joke on Kamala. We get then Che doing a joke about having sex and the women having to hold their breath. Colin will next read a joke about Scarlett Johansson, and they flash to her standing in the hall watching the TV as Colin is about to read the joke, talking about her 40th birthday, which means he's about to get up out of there because his kid is now black as hell. They show a picture of the kid, lots of shiz in there. They're going to swap to Michael Che, who's doing a Moana 2 joke, talking about being on the island with a teenage girl, and then really going on about Jay-Z and Diddy. Just absolutely some epic stuff there. Then Colin will cap it all off with the Costco roast beef has now been removed from the menu. I've been eating roast beef every night since my wife had the kid. Nah, just kidding, baby. You know I don't go down there. Shiz, that's gay as hell. It's just, this is so, and yeah, that was I was on the I literally there's some moments in my life watching Saturday Night Live where it's brought me to tears, and I was crying during this one. Amanda, this was so well done. Every time I think they can't top themselves, they do. Your thoughts on joke swap tonight?
I have never enjoyed these two men more on my screen. I loved this. And the minute I realized Colin had no idea, like I know how the joke, but like no idea about the black voice setup part. Like they just like thrust us into it. They were like, here's the joke swap, but they let us know that. I was like, what nonsense did they write for this very privileged Long Island ferry owning white boy? Like, what are we going to get out of him? The cut to Scarlett, who was also just like, oh, you could tell there's moments just like, please don't, like, oh my God, don't ruin my career. But you know what? I'm glad that everyone says the same stuff about Michael Che that I say about Michael Che, because all of those, the Moana line, something I've definitely said on this podcast, but I think that this was like this. I feel like sometimes joke swaps can feel a little aggressive and a little mean. This was written with such deep love and affection for each other, knowing that I love you so much, I'm going to humiliate you to the point of not being able to speak. That to me is an actual love language. Embarrassment is a love language. public humiliation is a love language. You know, this was the romantic equivalent of pantsing your romantic partner on a jumbotron, and I loved it. I'm hitting with the metaphors tonight.
Sammy, shiz. What'd you think?
I was gonna say shiz should be your new catchphrase on the show. I think, you know, every episode just throw.
That's how I should start every show.
Yeah.
Shiz, that's right.
We can just swap Saturday from SNN for the Shiz Night Network. Wow. This was
another Wicked reference.
Yeah. This was. I wrote in my notes. This was a beautiful mess. Like I was getting very stressed out watching this, just from like a timing standpoint. Like especially for Colin's first joke. Like I would love to get the screen time. I mean, his screen time this week is going to be through the roof because of how long it just took him to get through that first joke in that voice. I just was wow. I'm amazed that they were able to get through all that. I think recently, John, you said that Dismukes is like the most fearless cast member on the show. I mean, tonight, like, I don't know if like you could see the fear in Colin's eyes, but like in a way as well, just fearless doing that voice on national television in 2024. And the panning the ScarJo, like, I mean, that like seeing that angle and incorporating that into the show, like from a direction standpoint, like maybe again, a little messy, a little whatever, but I thought that added so much to this. For me, the highlight was the Diddy jokes, the like saying like I'll help get you off, like that, like just incredible stuff. I think a lot of people in the chat are saying this is the best, maybe the best joke swap ever. I mean, they have it might be this might be number one. The fact that they've done this so many times at this point, and there's been so many just jost roasts and things like that. The fact that they can continue to make this not feel tired. Again, an episode with so many recurring things. I think it is super impressive. So just hats off to the two of them to be able to continue to do this, because this was again a beautiful mess, and I loved every second of it.
Yeah, it's crazy to me that this always works. And like, you know, I used to love like Really with Seth and Amy, and I always thought like that may be like the best bit that SNL has ever done on a Weekend Update set. And you know, with the anchors, and I was like, you know, like I like, what can you say? Like, this is like, you know, they are in the pantheon of update anchors just based on joke swap alone, you know? And that's the thing, is like, you can't help but give it up. They're so freaking good at this. I think that, you know, I could have watched an hour of this. Like, I wasn't stressed about the time because this was so hilarious to me. Nailed every single joke here, and I thought it was perfect. And there were a lot of changes between dress rehearsal and the live show for this joke swap. So first off, in dress, joke swap had a wicked joke where Black people enjoyed the movie because they can actually be ruckus in the theater. That one was removed from dress rehearsal for the live show. The joke swap did not have Scarlett in the dress rehearsal. So no Scarlett Johansson was in the dress. Colin was not doing the Black voice in the dress. It was a very, very tame joke swap that they held everything for the live show. The Jay-Z and Diddy jokes were not in the dress rehearsal. Everything here that you loved about this was done live, and that's the way it's supposed to be done. So let me just give props. Just congratulations, guys. That was just perfect. Perfect. Let's keep going. Let's talk about Sábado, Gigante. Sierra, the Univision show, comes back for the second time. Last seen in the Nate episode, James is going to open it up announcing we got Marcelo as Don Francisco coming back. Chloe's playing Maria. We got Paul Rudd in this sketch as, again, a huge part, basically the focal point of this one. He sort of plays the host role with no Marty Short in this sketch. Emil's going to be there as a vampire. Ashley will be there to choose a present. We get to see Dana Carvey, who we have not seen in a long time, only a couple episodes, but Dana does return. And I was literally thinking to myself earlier when I was watching this episode, I was like, like would have been nice to have Dana here. And I'm glad that he did show up in this one. As the English hint, Bone Yang is our trumpet guy as well in this one. So a recurring sketch does return to the show tonight. Sammy Kay, what do you think about Sábado, Gigante?
Yeah, this was such a hard one to like taking notes for, because there's just so much. Again, the theme of this episode is like overstimulating. Like there's just so much happening in these sketches. For me, like obviously Marcelo is the highlight here. Like this is when we first saw that in the Bargatze episode, like such a great performance. Again, a really great performance here. Again, a bit of a complaint in this episode. You know, I'm sure, you know, just scheduling or whatever with Martin Short. This feels like the perfect type of sketch to have Martin Short in. So to bring it in the Martin Short episode and not have him, for me, is a bit of a bummer. But I think Paul Rudd was a great like anchor for this. Like he, you know, was great bouncing off Marcelo here. It almost feels like because of his 5-timers episode being ruined, at this point, he's cameoed like a couple times at this point. You can almost like, you know, put together your own version of Paul Rudd's 5-timer episode with like the amount of cameos and sketches he's appeared in. But yeah, I mean, was happy to see this back. I'm excited to rewatch this one because, again, not that this washed over me necessarily, but again, there's just so much going on. It's a pure vibes sketch for me, and I was enjoying it. I you know, the sort of visual gags of everything going on, and was also great to see Dana in there for my fantasy points. So.
Yes, it was great to have Dana reappear in this one. It was a little bit of a shame not to get Marty in this one. I really thought, I think I saw Ellis in the chat, and I had the same thought as him about Jackie Rogers Jr., one of Marty's great characters, who I thought would have been perfect for this sketch. We actually saw him appear in a What Up With That sketch back in 2012, so I sort of felt like that was a good way to go with this one. Amanda, were you happy to see this sketch return on the show tonight?
I can't believe I'm talking about this sketch for the second time this year.
Were you on with us that night?
I was on with Nate Bargatze. Like, and I fully had to double check. I had to just now. I was like, wait, did I talk about this before? It didn't impact me last time. Didn't impact me this time. Like, again, I like it for my draft picks because I get Marcelo and Chloe in the same sketch. Love that for me. But my draft points. But I miss Marty. What felt like a glaring omission here, in a way where I was like, but this like feels built for him. Like just feels built for him. But not even as like the Paul Rudd character, because that's not built for him. Just there are opportunities that I feel like we're just pop him in there. Like that would be great. I just in the same way, like if you're gonna do something that's just so spot on, I'm glad. I mean, last time it was before Weekend Update, and now they push it back after Weekend Update, and that move I liked. I did like that, but this I just felt like, okay, cool. Like post Weekend Update, I'm gonna go refill my water bottle and like I'm listening and paying attention, but just didn't do that much for me. It's nice to see the people that I got to see. You know, it's good to see Paul Rudd playing confused guy as always. Love it when he does that. He's really good at it. So. Yeah.
I thought this was good. I was hoping it would be more epic given the night that we were having. So I just felt like with everybody that was there was an opportunity to throw them in here. And I think that the first one, if I remember correctly, had sort of this like epic number where like everybody came on stage together that was in the sketch. And like, I think that unless I'm missing that also happened in this one on first watch, but like, I didn't feel like there was like something so grand about it, but I am happy they brought it back. I do wish they would have brought it back on a different episode. For me, it sort of feels like Sammy, like a baby between, it feels like La Vista della Televisione had a baby with What Up With That. And that's how we got this sketch. I know it is a parody of an actual show, but it just in terms of the SNL world, that's how I feel about this one. How'd you enjoy the second version of Sábado, Gigante? Did you already give your thoughts on this one?
I can go again. I can go again.
Christmas show.
You want to talk about it again?
Sorry about that.
Yeah, let's run it back.
Yeah, let's run it back. We'll cut this part. All right. So, that's how I feel about it. let's keep going. Let's talk about the. It's been all 10 episodes in the.
You were
fall.
gaslighting me there. I'm like, I thought I just talked about it. Okay, I guess I'll go again.
Sometimes that happens.
It's almost the end of the year, listeners. Like, gift.
Yeah, that was bound to happen one time this season. So I apologize. Your comments were so interesting, Sammy. I had to go back to you again.
So
All
great.
right, let's talk about the 25 Days of Christmas opens up on a Charlie Brown Christmas where Marty's playing Drake as an instructor because Charlie is dead to him, and he's going to talk to the entire Peanuts gang and get them to have some new choreography. Bowen's going to come on as the choreographer to help Marty with this one, but we get to see Andrew, Emil, Heidi, Sarah, Ashley, Mikey, Marcelo, Chloe, Keenan playing Snoopy, Jane, and Michael Longfellow in this one, and lots of instructions. Just a classic Marty character here. Sammy, how do you feel about our final sketch of the night, A Charlie Brown Christmas?
I'm glad we ended the night on, like kind of an original piece for a night that was sort of so full of, as we've mentioned, recurring segments. This is great to see. Obviously, Marty again in a live sketch. I love when the cast is in just like ridiculous cartoon costumes like that. It kind of reminded me of the Broadway sketch with Taylor Swift from back in like the early 2010s. Just seeing those sort of animated characters in there. And yeah, I mean, kind of like you said, this is like sort of the perfect sort of piece for a Marty short. We've also gotten a Charlie Brown Christmas sketch from the last time he hosted Christmas, which to me that's like an all-time classic. So it was interesting to see that again in this episode. For me, one of the highlights was Keenan as Snoopy in this sketch. He had a lot of great lines there at the end, talking about they're asking if he's fixed, and he's like, "Nah, man, I ain't broken." Like, I thought that was a good line. So, I liked sort of the sort of roasting of sort of these Charlie Brown characters. Obviously, Charlie Brown has been around for so long. It's kind of like an older reference, but for a show hosted by an older gentleman, like I think it fits in an episode like this.
Amanda, your thoughts?
I really loved this. Like, this reminds me of like just like of Cast List, which I think somebody in the comments mentioned, like Cast List, the one with Will Ferrell, the Cut for Time sketch, which is literally, I think, probably my most reviewed SNL sketch of all time. I love a Peanuts motif in general. Like, one of my favorite plays of all time is Dog Saw God, which is about Peanuts after Snoopy dies. It's a very dark play. So this felt like, for me, costumes, gorgeous, set design, incredible. The dancing. I love a Peanuts dance. We all look good. Everyone looks cute doing a Peanuts dance. Okay. But this was just, I think it was a great amount of time. Wasn't too long, wasn't too short. Keenan making a Joe Cool reference in 2024. I never would have put that on my bingo card, but Joe Cool always deserves a reference. And I think that in general, ending an episode that was so high energy, internally referential, past referential, like in almost rewarding this. It's nice to see something that was so original and different to put a cap on the night and remind you like, yes, we gave you all of this fan service, and then we're going to give you something that is so weird and niche that you're going to be thinking about it for a while. And yeah, I think that this was a great way to end the evening, just on a tonal level. And I think that they're going to do, yes. And also Mikey as Pigpen.
You mean Pig Penis?
Yes, exactly. Yes. It's fabulous. I loved it. It's, oh, no. Oh, yeah, I can't wait to rewatch this. This made me smile and just made my heart sing. And also Keenan as Snoopy, like, Keenan is the coolest man alive. And him playing that bass and that line about being fixed, my mother had walked downstairs and was screaming, like, not broken. was like, yeah.
Yeah, it was great.
Slay.
So much good stuff in this one. I mean, this was the perfect for Marty Short. I thought Bowen was really good playing off of Marty. Just again, big night for Bowen. The two of them together in this one was a lot of fun. I mean, when I thought they threw me off at the beginning because I thought we were going to a pre-tape or a cartoon. Like I was so confused about where we were going with this, and then when it opened up, like I almost like it took me a second to get that like this was happening like live on set because the set design and the everything like the makeup, it was so well done. Like to me this was I can't wait to see like if they put up one of those behind the scenes like the makings of this sketch. Like I think that's one of those things that like you got to do for something like this just to put this together for the holidays. I love this so much. I thought this was such a solid way to end the night, as you said, Amanda, like the perfect note on this. So for me, just like a really nice way. And especially if you're a big Peanuts fan, I mean, SNL's done a lot of that over the last like 20 years, I'd say. But this to me like felt really fresh and fun, just having Marty berate the different Peanuts gang and go back and forth with them. Just so awesome. So what a fun night that we had here to talk about this holiday show. So grateful to, SNL 50th season has been fun. I've been waiting for that absolutely epic show, and I'm so happy that we did get a classic tonight. So I can't wait to get the ratings on this one from the chat and from you, Sammy, and you, Amanda. While you think about how you would like to rate the show, we got a bunch of stuff that was cut from the episode. So I'm going to tell you all about it right now, starting with a film piece called Kill Grinch, which is another blood and gore domino effect sketch where everything escalates and goes wrong with the Grinch, played by Marty, who ends up stabbing the Who's with a star, and blood and gore goes everywhere. We get the real Lucy Liu appearing in this sketch at the end as well. So this one featured Marty, Sarah, Chloe, Mikey, Bowen, and a few others. So sort of the, other style of sketches we've seen with this before. So I do wonder if that one pops up online. There was a Leonard Cohen sketch, the Give Me a C, Bouncy C, that Marty Short character. So Sarah and Marty keep smashing each other with glass bottles and coming up to roast each other and ask for a C, a Bouncy C. That's featured Sarah, Marty, Devin, James, Ashley, Heidi, and Andrew. That one was cut. The Pop the Balloon or Real Love sketch. Ego hosts a show where Dismukes, Marcelo, Devin, Marty try to find love, and Ashley, Chloe, and Heidi and Sarah either pop the balloon if they are incompatible or if it's real love. Marty keeps saying he's a 27-year-old Twitch streamer with 35 years of experience at his real job. There was a Minky sketch. If you remember Minky from the 2022 episode, that one was cut from this episode where we got another Minky with Marty, Heidi, who was pregnant in the sketch, Sarah, Chloe, and Ego. We're in this Minky sketch, and we did get another edition which did not make the show of the Treese Henderson trio. That one did not make it. The Treese sketches from Keaton with Keenan, Marty, and Bowen. There were some live animals in that sketch, including a donkey, lamb, and a chicken. So no Treese for this episode that made it to the live show. So those were our 5 cut pieces in addition to the Jane Wickline and Marcelo Hernandez piece cut on Weekend Update. So that is your full run of show here tonight. Sammy, how are you going to rate the episode?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of expectations, high expectations going into an episode like this. And there's just a lot in this episode that I loved. I love the 5-timers. I love the monologue. Definitely would have loved to see more Marty, but that's just because I'm a huge fan of Martin Short and what he does on the show. So I think I'm going to give this one an 8 out of 10 overall.
Amanda?
I'm going to give it an 8.5 out of 10 because the highs were really, really high. The low points weren't the lowest I've ever seen it on this show. So 8.5 out of 10, like a really good, solid, nice episode, and really good fan servicey moments. And yes, but not like probably one of the best Christmas episodes ever done. But in terms of best episodes, 8.5.
Yes. Also, just want to say Irving Cohen, by the way, not Leonard Cohen. Leonard Cohen is the Hallelujah guy. My bad. I should have known that. But yes, Irving Cohen. So yes. But Oh, so for me, I'm going 9 out of 10 on this one. I think that there was some, slight things I would have changed. The parade sketch didn't really, work for me. Sábado, Gigante, I think was probably a little bit of a lesser version of what we got last time, though it was fun to see it back. But I mean, this to me is like everything I ever wanted as an SNL fan, to open up the show tonight and see the cold open and all of those moments that we had here. We got a backstage monologue. We had an absolutely incredible joke swap on a Weekend Update. We had cameos throughout the show. Like, to me, this was what I was looking for in SNL 50. It was everything that I was hoping we would see coming into this season. So for me, I'm very comfortable with saying that this is, to me, in like the 90th percentile of the best stuff in the history of the show. 9 out of 10. Putting my foot down on that one. I absolutely love this one, and I cannot wait to get back to talking about it on Monday night on our roundtable, where we will have some amazing guests to break down the show in even more detail. So I look forward to that. Please join us on Monday, the 23rd. So we're heading towards the Christmas holiday, but we will be here live with you on Monday to talk through everything. Then we will have our By the Number show on Thursday, the 26th. So we won't have anything on the 25th, where we would typically air our By the Number show on a Wednesday night. But instead, we will have it the following day on Thursday. So if you're around over the holidays and you want to join us for our By the Number show, we will promote that and the time as well. We're looking to put out some new everything you need to know about SNL coming out on the YouTube channel very soon as well. We will, of course, have our patron show. So if you're a patron, you can join us, or if you haven't joined us yet, patreon.com/the SNL Network. We'll have our poll out for you, where we'll break down a sketch even further. After the new year, we will have the feedback show, so that will be out there. We will also have a mid-season By the Number show, and then I'm also working on a show for right near the new year, where we will be revealing and counting the top 10 SNL sketches of 2024 as voted by you. So tomorrow we will put out a post on social media. You can follow us at the SNL Network to vote for your favorite sketches of this calendar year, and I will reveal those in a special show as we head towards the end of 2024. So lots of fun stuff coming up here on Saturday Night Network. Please subscribe to us, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, so you never miss any of the content we have going on between now and when the show does return to us in 2025 in January. Of course, we'll be back here to talk through everything from those episodes as we head towards SNL 50 coming up very soon, Sammy. So very exciting stuff. Please tell the listeners where they can reach out to you.
Jon, thanks for having me as always. You guys can find me at that Sammy Kay on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Blue Sky. Maybe I'll start posting on there. And I just want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy New Year, and just it just really means a lot to be able to talk SNL with everybody here over at the Saturday Night Network, and I can't wait to continue to do it into the new year, and then as we make our way to the 50th anniversary special. Very excited for all that.
Amanda, thank you so much for joining us and staying up late with us tonight. Anything that you would like to plug to the listeners?
I'm always thrilled to be here, and and yes, thank you for having me. Thank you, listeners. You guys are always the nicest and the best, and like just one of the rare safe spaces I feel like on the internet. I don't know. Actually, don't take me at my word at that. You guys might be mean to other people, but you're nice to me. But they're really, you guys, you know better. But yes, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy New Year. I can't wait to do more of this in 2024. I can't wait to be obnoxious about SNL 50. I can't wait to have somebody else to thirst over in 2025. Like, you guys never know. And I would like to say, no, I absolutely have cried on this podcast in 2024. I take it back. I was about to say, I feel like I made it through, but I definitely cried at one point. So here's to try to make it through 2025 without crying. Yay! Well, that's about this podcast, not without crying in general. I'm absolutely going to cry all the time. Love you guys. Thank you.
We love you too. And honestly, if we don't hear from you or listeners, you don't come back until the first Hot Take Show of 2025. I just want to wish everybody a very happy holidays, no matter what you are celebrating. I hope you enjoy it with your family and your friends, and you have a great holiday season. I want to thank Sammy and Amanda for joining us tonight. And look, Saturday Night Live is nothing without the fans of the show who get to watch it. It's not a show that's created in a box. This is a show for all of us to get to enjoy and celebrate and have some fun together. And this podcast is nothing without the listeners. So for me, for everybody who, whether you join us live and chat and interact with us, or you're just a listener walking towards the bus stop or driving in the car, or, folding laundry, I just want you to know that I do appreciate you and I love you and I thank you for everything that you've done to make the Saturday Night Network as great as it has been in 2024. So really appreciate all of you. I want to thank latenighter.com for being our presenting partner for the show. They have so much great content over at latenighter.com. So go ahead and check that out. So on behalf of Sammy Kay and Amanda Mitchell and everybody here in the chat, my name is Jon Schneider from the Saturday Night Network, and we will see you next time, everybody. Have a good one.